I wish it didn't have to end so abruptly, but I find that song from Super Mario RPG to be an awesome addition to Mortal Kombat Vengeance, representing the Edenian Palace as a sanctuary before they should venture into Outworld. Welcome back to another chapter of Mortal Kombat Vengeance. Last time, we just rallied up all the troops, all the combatants, before they made the foot into Outworld. While there, they encountered the mysterious celestial portal, and Kung Lao, to prove himself he is strong enough to defeat the Deadly Alliance and avenge Liu Kang, stepped up to the plate and encountered his revenant counterpart as a trial. And thanks to the merger with Liu Kang's soul, they were able to easily mop the floor with him. And it's about time, too, because it resulted in a draw in MK11. Never liked his revenant counterpart. Anyway, they were able to find Jax in the living forest, and he suspected that Cyrax is somewhere in Outworld because some bat-like creature abducted him. And Sonya proved it because she found the console, the ARM console, beneath the ground before she reunited with Jax. And Jax is looking for Cyrax and Kenshi. They had been separated because they lost contact with each other. So, they made it out of the living forest and into Edenia, and Sindel briefed them on the coming threat of reviving the Dragon King Onaga and how she was related to Shao Kahn because of their rule, and Shao Kahn won over Onaga by poisoning him. So Sindel recruited Jade and Kitana while the rest would hold the fort, and to wish them luck. So, let's get this thing going. Alright, continuation 5, Boraicho. The Boraicho. Forgive me if you're not a fan of him, I don't blame you. After a hearty breakfast mostly consisting of Edenia's specialty, the legendary Edenian pie, everyone was energized and ready to traverse into the unrelenting Outworld frontier. Sonya mentioned since the heroes were embarking from the Edenian Palace and dealing with Quan Chi, they must have the Cobalt armor equipped. Luckily, the Edenians took her advice and actually forged and stored several Ottomans from the foreboding Cobalt mines due to their unfortunate experiences during Shinnok's invasion. Nightwolf suggested to Aiko to tap on the engraved dragon symbol at the left side of her waist. She did, and almost instantly her battle armor transformed into a neon blue hue, complete with bright patching similar to the default crimson armor. The shaman was the one who programmed her battle armor to turn into crimson, turquoise, and lime. It can also make her glow in the dark if needed with only one press. At first, Jax refused to wear this armor, the thin armor. He would much rather have his bionic arms and bare chest. That was all he ever needed. If worse should come to worse, he could always wear his heavy artillery complete with a strap filled with grenades. He then queried irritatingly, "By the way, where the hell should we go if we need to take out the Deadly Alliance?" Kung Lao hesitated, trying to hatch a deep thought. He then faced his close partner. "Nightwolf, can you sense the source of the immense darkness? Like you did before when we were scouting towards Shao Kahn's fortress?" "I can try." He and his wolf walked out to the nearby open balcony, while Kiba sniffed the air. He stuck out a hand, attempting to feel the ominous sensation. Huh. I wonder what it does feel like, or how it smells. Must be like a corrosive odor and intense gravity, or causing your heart to skip a beat like anxiety. Precisely, but it doesn't change in density. Kind of like a sixth sense, per se. He scanned the perimeter, till he abruptly stopped and pointed. "There!" The group looked up. "The Deadly Alliance should be in the northwest." Jade just made a facepalm. "Oh no! The direction leads straight through the savage wastelands, Tarkatan territory." "Aren't the Cobalt mines in the same direction?" "They are, but they're beneath the Tarkan's turf," Kitana informed. "Mother has already alerted the Saurians and Shokan. We would need reinforcements if those bloodthirsty scoundrels would get in our way." Are you sure they would just run into battle? I figured they'd serve their master like they did with Shao Kahn." Frost got some of the information courtesy of Kwai and Smoke's battles. "They are reckless abominations, Frost, and they wouldn't mind either way. They can just turn on their leaders at any time. They have no morals. They only care about bloodshed and sustenance. They happen to be the bums and scavengers of Outworld, just like those nomads with the Arctica wastes." "Precisely. This cobalt armor should give us the home field advantage enduring their sharp fangs, claws, and blades. They should reduce impalement. I just hope my twisted sister wouldn't interfere." "I'm certain she'd still be in the Netherrealm, Kitana." "So, are we all set?" "Looks like it. Time to get moving. We should always stick together to not let Shang hinder and disguise himself as us." Everyone nodded, and they were underway. At times, as the combatants approached the barren wastelands, there were a few hordes of Onis meddling them. Lao recalled using his different fighting styles, including the mantis techniques. Sub-Zero stunned one before Lao decapitated the victim, and the Cryomancer kicked and shattered its body. Even Frost pitched in using with her own abilities, including her nimbleness. Kitana mostly defended with her steel fans, while Jade was more offensive thanks to her razor rings. The elemental warriors were very impressed. "Looks like your mantis skills are finally paying off." "Kung Lao, you actually mastered the mantis technique? Those were taught by an ancient Chinese master since the 1600s. "Indeed they were. Liu Kang and I just remembered this intriguing combat style. Even Aiko was just as impressed. "Wow! You took out those guys fast! I'm surprised they hadn't hurt your hands." They would have if it not for these. He revealed the black spiky gauntlets. Weren't they used by Liu Kang? Yes, but since his body is no longer active, I thought they could be of some good use. Even the red bandana, he pointed to his forehead, no one actually noticed it just below his hat. Kung Lao, if I ever return to my own body, you best make sure you bring them to me. Hey, I was the one who gave them to you as gifts. They were passed down by our common ancestor. Don't you think I should use them after a while? And it's true. More Onis ambushed the group, interrupting the monks' bickering. Despite their best efforts, they endured some minor injuries, and Aiko was put on healing duties, draining the Horde's energy and healing any wounds. Nightwolf and Kiba remained separated as they fought off the beasts. Jack seemed to have the least bit of trouble, despite never wearing any cobalt armor. Damn it, Jax! He and Johnny also took the forefront. It was mostly to cover Sonya 6. The group also noted that Hanzo could only use his longsword and his pyrokinesis he shot from his hands. It's too bad I can no longer use my spear. I was able to, as it stuck out from my palm while I was cursed in an undead vessel. Johnny stuttered his words, remembering his deadly battle against him at the woods on Shang Tsung's island and in the Netherrealm. I kinda missed that, believe it or not. Shouldn't we hide into those trees over there? We can take those bastards by surprise. Or maybe they would. Frost gave her a dirty look as she disliked her doubts. Sonya may be right, Frost. The trek through a flatter terrain is often easier, and even if the Tarkans should invade, we would radio reinforcements. Nightwolf has advanced some of Edenian's technology here. Aiko couldn't shake off the sudden ruffles she heard last night. Kung Lao took in her worries. They continued to trek through the cool Badlands, even to the heavy purple clouds that were gathering. They soon encountered Onis possessing daggers, and the cobalt armor had lived up to their expectations by preventing fatal stabs. Most of the heroes kept their distance, while Jax bombarded through their small waves. Over time, their journey made the plans expand, and the tree lines became less and less. Now I'm beginning to see why we didn't take the tree lines. It would be unwise, since I might happen to incinerate them anyway, or they would be uprooted and topple over by Jax's unsurmountable strength. Why take the chance? A true warrior must always regard his or her own environment. As a former denizen of the Netherrealm, you don't have a lot of variety, but yes, it's vital to pay attention to your surroundings. When they finally breached open ground, the same pair of turquoise eyes glowed. Within the woods, the muscular body held out a chain with a ball attached to it, then adjusted the weapon beneath its arm. He let out a low growl when he saw the fleshy travelers. If you played Deadly Alliance, well, one of the seasoned players, you should know who he is. Aiko abruptly stopped and turned behind her. Lao eventually noticed her hesitation. Aiko, what is it? I haven't noticed the same ruffle this time, but I feel someone is behind us, hiding with these trees. Lao shifted forward, thinking they should investigate the disturbance, but he almost instantly changed his mind as he quickly shook his head. He laid a hand on her shoulder. This isn't the time to investigate, Aiko. We would be separated from the group. I'm certain our stalker would spot us once we approach open ground. We must keep moving. His touch seemed to calm her, but she still couldn't shake off the fact someone or something was following them. Lao and Aiko were still at the back of the pack. They weren't necessarily eager to catch up, as they'd be able to watch their backs without getting lost. Still, it was nice with just their own company and having more wiggle room. The distance also gave them not much of a struggle over some dunes. By the time they reached the top of a small rise, some ambiguous figure caught Aiko's eye. Actually, that chubby figure stumbled upon his walk and was moving in erratic directions. Kung Lao? She pointed it out. They even saw him fall flat onto his blubbery belly like a beached whale. The former monk just stood there in shock and disgust as his eyes widened and his breath was caught. This cannot be! Who is he? Boraicho. Cat got her tongue. Wait, who? He was my former master. Out of the past few years, the cardiokinetic never heard of this incohesive wild load. She always thought the former champion's mentors had always been Raiden and Fusion. Not once has she ever heard of his name, nor even saw this blob. She grew nervous on even approaching him, yet she noticed Lao slowly treading toward him. Lao? Stuck out a hand mentioning her to stay put. He was less antsy than her as he continued till he was inches away. The large lump remained still. Lao just simply rolled his eyes, especially when he was close enough to receive the foul stench of wine, and perhaps excrement. He gave it a tap with his foot, only for the lardy man to quickly roll and tug Lao by the foot. Just as he was about to lose his balance, the Oriental used his other foot to escape. He backed away a few inches and made a fighting stance in the fat ass's nose. As the fat ass rose, he faced his intruder with gleamy bloodshot eyes, sneering as if he was about to attack his prey. He wobbled a little as he stood onto his thick feet that was almost as if structured as an ungulate hooves. What's the big idea? You woke me up for this. I was taking a power nap till you, novice, came to me. Novice? Don't you remember who I am, you big oaf? This disgusted the Shaolin, aside from Bo's drunk demeanor. He simply wiped the residue away with his massive arm. Who the fuck do you think you are, weakling? Lao wasn't intimidated. I will demonstrate who is weak. Fight! All that bastard did was let loose some wind from his buttocks before he charged and hit Lao with all his bulk. Although it was simply a leap toward the victim, a few feet away Aiko could have sworn there was something familiar about that bulky mass. Lao teleported behind him and performed his tornado kick, the drunkard's stomach, but he countered with a fury of fists. Those took Lao off guard, sending him in foot back upon a powerful lunge. Charged again like a bull, but Lao was too flexible. Tossed his hot, which only gave his opponent a few abrasions. They were painful, but he quickly recovered, countering with a large streak of brown vomit. Aiko shielded her eyes and nose, while Lao managed to retrieve his hat in the nick of time. He backflipped to avoid the corrosive odor. I'm not taking any pity on your drunken sickness, Boraicho. Just like with Shao Kahn, Bo kept on charging with a powerful arm as he lunged, and Lao easily evaded it. Lao came in with swift mantis chop, but all he hit was blubber, even his neck. Jumped again before he was taken off his feet by a sudden charge as Bo went in sideways and hit his head against Lao's chest. The impact left him dazed, and searing pain went through his back. Bo then performed a belly flop which crushed Lao under his megaton strength. The Chinese warrior cried out as he received more anguish. Ugh! Then Bo just continued to press his immense body weight onto the hapless victim. He silently wished Lao's loose spirit would seep into him, although he instantly figured it wasn't possible since there was hardly any room for him. Maybe even crushing the dragon amulet. Aiko saw Lao as the bulky bastard's mercy. She let out both hands, causing Bo to clutch his upper chest. Gave it a few punches to clear it, but his heart only got worse. She concentrated more of her energy, making his heart expand, causing excruciating pain. Due to the immense volume, Aiko needed to channel more of her strength in order to give the greatest effect. She concentrated harder, making his heart explode. Aiko, stop! She picked up Lao's implore. Drain some of his energy onto me! She did just that when a red streak escaped into her lover's chest. This restored his oxygen intake and eventually gained enough strength to stand with a flip. Quickly stormed in and twirl kicked the brawler toward his chin, causing himself to soar in an upward motion. This just knocked the wind out of him. As his massive body plummeted, they could have sworn they felt a shaky quake. Several of the combatants felt the aftershock as well. They turned and noticed that the couple went missing. The two separated after an assuring embrace. Lao took out the dragon head, which surprisingly was unharmed. As he withdrew it, Bo slowly got back on his blubbery feet and appeared to be sharper and coherent. You two aren't half bad. Come on, we're not done yet. I won't fight against you. What? What's the matter? We don't have time to waste over your blabbering stories, nor your disgusting drunken habits. We need to get back with our allies. They seem a lot more presentable and preferable than you are. Care to stick with your party animals rather than your own master? I wish you never were. Ever since you were banned from the Wuxi Academy, you had never returned. Not even when the monks had fallen from the Tarkans. You abandoned us. I never wanted to participate in the tournaments. That's why. I never wanted to become champion since I was an Outworlder, and the honors would go straight to Shao Kahn. Once Liu Kang became champion, my services were no longer needed. This didn't make any sense, but Bo simply took another gulp from the same clear green bottle. So, who is this little lady? He ogled, causing Lao to cover her. Before he could make an enraged move, voices were heard from a distance. The running feet reached the duo consisting of the comrades. Kung Lao, Aiko, where have you been? Thanks to my former sensei being drunk and passed out, I was curious enough to get close to him. I fought him, and Aiko came to my aid before I was crushed to death by the intense body. Kiba bared his teeth next to his owner. Ugh! There's nothing worse than a total inebriate. Can't believe this son of a bitch was your master. You should get yourself a sponsor. Yeah, you tell that bastard, Johnny. No one could digest Lao's intel, not even those more subtle ones like Nightwolf nor Kitana. Even Sonya and Jade shared their appall. Bo was hardly fazed. Go get drunk somewhere else, you fucking fatwad. We're leaving. Oh, it's Aiko. Go get drunk somewhere else, you fucking fatwad. We're leaving. And we're leaving you behind while we destroy the Deadly Alliance. Before we will severely punish you. She was the first to stomp away. The group left little by little, but not without a final cue of discontent. Even Jax, who was muttering on how disgraceful he was. If that sorry mutt would have a tail, might as well be between his enlarged buttocks. I'm not a huge fan of Boraicho. I'm sorry. And if you don't believe me, ask Ian from 616 Entertainment. He despises him. They didn't say a word, excepting Kung Lao, who apologized to Aiko and experiencing his former sensei's distasteful actions and toxic state. Said he definitely brought shame to the Shaolin, thus being kicked out of the academy. He was so grateful to be raised and trained by better teachers, including Raiden and Fujin. Liu Kang just couldn't agree more. If he ever comes back, I will never hesitate to kick his ass. He cannot be one of us. He has fallen so far from grace. If he comes on to you, Aiko, I'll break him apart limb from limb. Thanks, guys. Noticed Kung Lao looked her. His head was hung in so much remorse. She asked if he was all right. All he did was sulk. Kitana suggested to give him some silence, at least until they would take a break from the ongoing journey. Hours later it was sunset. The sky began to turn to a pink as pure as strawberry ice cream. That's the best I could come up with. The ground nearly matched it like opaque raspberry shade. The guys decided to set up camp with an old shrine that had a hollowed light shining down on it, which reminded the former monks of those they'd found throughout Outworld. For a short while, Lu's spirit left the dragon amulet and onto the pile of wood, igniting them. It was certainly a relief to Aiko, since she finally relieved her heavy battle armor and wear regular clothes in its place. She petted and played with Kiba for a while, and the party had another hearty meal, including some Medinian meat and veggies. Kung Lao, however, wasn't too hungry. The Liu Kang was astonished he wasn't used to not eating as his spirit. The former monk just sulked and ate very little. Even Aiko came close to his side and tended him. Even Kiba, who licked him a few times. His shame on being taught by an irredeemable teacher was just laden to Kung Lao. As if reading her sorrowful mind, Kitana went to him. Kung Lao, I know you must be burdened by Bo Raicho's disgrace, but it might be best if you could just tell us who he is and what he has done. Raiden and Fujin were indeed the better choices. All he did was perspire. Come on, Kung Lao. You can tell us. It must have been shame. Even I'd nearly forgotten on him, much like Raiden. I guess he didn't want to tell us of his regrets from the destruction of Earthrealm. Past secrets can be as deep as the Pacific. Liu Kang is right. He remembered his former mentor since he was a boy as he trained him in Liu Kang, but Bo's drunkenness and volatile bodily habits always got him in trouble and kicked out of the academy. Lao then lost faith and was taught by Raiden more directly. He couldn't believe all this time he was trained by a disgusting tutor from Outworld. Aiko thought it was Bo Raicho who attacked her in the barren streets of New Jersey during the night they first met, thus releasing her cardiokinesis onto him aside from rescuing her doomed partner. Lao stated it wasn't him, but someone else who looked similar. Probably his hair was browner and he didn't have an oriental complexion. They never mentioned him at all. After the 3 years, Aiko met the Shaolin. The former, however, never wanted to state him as he'd forgotten how disgusting he was. Liu came to the conclusion that it was probably from trauma-induced amnesia. They may have forgotten his training as he was banned from the academy due to his abuse, heavy alcoholism, and his unnerving bodily habits, not returning to Outworld upon the victory of the first 2 tournaments, as he claimed he never wanted to be champion and represent Outworld, in which the honors would automatically go to Shao Kahn. Naturally, Lao refused to believe it. Silence stretched on, then Sonya and Frost assured, Hey, you shouldn't feel ashamed on how your former master fell. I can't imagine Master Sub-Zero doing the same. I'd be just as upset. But you still have got friends to watch your back. Yeah, and if he ever comes around here, I'd be more than happy to kick his sorry ass and punch his pitiful balls. Back to the brewery he came from. Kung Lao and Aiko couldn't help but snicker at the threat. Though to him it was a promise since it has been done a few times. Like with Goro. At least you should thank Raiden for putting you and Liu back on track. Her partner was surprised. Jax! That's the first time I ever heard you actually compliment on the guy. He added to not let it go to their heads. Yeah. We should all get some sufficient rest before the next leg of our journey. and it's what to have our heads clear if we should meet with the Tarkans and the Deadly Alliance. Hanzo's right. Maybe a little meditation won't hurt. We all need some sense to not wind up like that abomination. One by one, each warrior hit the sack or simply just calmed their minds before doing so. Lao and Aiko were still the last ones awake. She couldn't help but lean into his smooth though tense chest. Lao wrapped an arm around her. His mind was still elsewhere. Sense? No, that's not it. I'm just... Lost his train of thought before his eyes and head were heavy enough to make him sleep. The idea on Aiko having 3 different battle armor was from my good friend 80s fan. Her concept art featuring Aiko having 3 distinctive shades. Since the Cobalt armor was said to be blue, it was convenient enough for Aiko to switch forms. Not sure how to use her lime armor yet, but I got to that. Also, the transformation sequence is similar to Reboot, when heroes tap their icons twice to change their formats, per se. I never thought using Aiko's other colors, being she's a cardiokinetic, thus using red, but the blue armor was a nice touch. At first, I thought the music track to Conquest was Master Cho, based on Bo Raicho, but he only turned out to be a prototype. It's so damn coincidental that Conquest was made back in '98 before Deadly Alliance was created in 2001. Whether it be the Unholy Alliance consisting of Shang and Quan, or even Bo Raicho, perhaps the creators were responsible for both properties. Even though Threshold handled the former, while Midway did the latter after the fiasco known as Special Forces. And there's the songs. And there's the songs for that, blah blah blah, yada yada yada, and da da da. Besides, I dealt with 2 people IRL that were total fucking irredeemable dicks. Counting my ex-step-parent, whom my parent divorced from 3 years ago during the fall. The former has type 1 diabetes and was abusive guardian to me, while also counting an African-American Sao, also type 1, and is nothing more than a slow, domineering slug that I have to work with several days of the week. So, due to past experience, I don't take too kindly to the morbidly obese nor the drunk. I mean, no offense to diabetics, but I have some very unfortunate experiences with them both, and they remind me of Bo Raicho. Please get help if you happen to be in those conditions. They're wastes of life. Don't get me started with those abominable characters and What's Eating Gilbert Grape. Ugh! I hate that movie so damn much. And there's the crackling cabin fireplace, blah blah blah. When the warriors settled down and Lao describes Bo Raicho, it was hard getting that chapter out of the way, being I didn't have a lot of inspiration, a lot of stress, and hating that poor son of a bitch. What a bad first impression. See you all next chapter. Like I said, I hate Bo Raicho, and please, to all of my viewers, don't wind up like him. Don't be drunk, don't be as obese as him. Please get help, and do not be like Bo Raicho in any way, shape, or form. So, I'm the Ecron Writer signing out, and I'll see you all next chapter.